Hello guys. The recent India-Maldives brawl and Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the Union Territory of Lakshadweep has brought in a lot of fanfare to these beautiful islands, which often went unnoticed by Indians themselves. The media has been churning up with boycott Maldives and explore Indian island hashtags, and social media exploded with PM Modi's viral walk and snorkeling videos, flooding the internet and getting reactions from both their ends. Maldivian ministers further jumped into this battle on X with anti-Modi and anti-Lakshadweep comments. Further, they faced backlash from the Indian side as citizens, celebs, and the polity joined hands to sing the anti-Maldivian song. Later, the Maldivian government suspended these three ministers involved in these war of words on the internet and also stated that the opinions of these ministers were personal and didn't reciprocate the Maldivian government's policies. These changes in the relationships between India and Maldives were right after the presidential elections of Maldives, where the former mayor of Male, Mohammad Muizzu, won the presidential elections and chose his pro-China stand. Formerly, Ibu Soli, the ex-president, had a pro-India stand, but it can be clearly said that these political outturns in Maldives have changed the relationships between India and Maldives and have definitely made it intensely bitter. But at the center stage, Lakshadweep has been between an ever-evolving geopolitical conundrum between India and Maldives and a developmental plan which aims to make Lakshadweep a direct competition to the Maldivian tourism sector. What holds for the future cannot be accurately predicted, but we gotta shoot our shot in this video, so keep watching. Lakshadweep, also known as Lakshadweeps, is an archipelago consisting of 36 islands. It lies in the Arabian Sea at about a distance of 200 to 400 kilometers from the Malabar coastline. The variance in distance is due to the fact that Lakshadweep has scattered islands and they don't lie in a clump together. The name Lakshadweep in Malayalam and Sanskrit literally means 100,000 islands. Lakshadweep is famous for its sandy beaches and excellent coral life and marine life. The capital of Lakshadweep is Kavarati, which again is another wonderful island in these group of islands, again famous for its marine life, sandy shores, and excellent coral reefs. Lakshadweep is predominantly dominated by Muslims who contribute to about 90% of the population in these islands, and they are categorized as scheduled tribes due to economic backwardness and geographical isolation. Malayalis are the largest ethnic group living in Lakshadweep Islands, and the population of Lakshadweep is just merely around 65,000. Parajikli is a popular dance form performed in the majority of the islands in Lakshadweep. It is usually performed by men using wooden swords and shields, and the whole reason to perform this traditional dance form is to reenact the Islamic tales of mighty battles fought during the days of yore. Minikor is yet another famous island which comes under the Lakshadweep Islands. It is ethnically Maldivian and comes under the 10 inhabited islands of Lakshadweep. It is the closest island to Maldives. Some of the islands in Lakshadweep are atolls. Now what are atolls? Atolls are ring-shaped coral reef islands which are formed underwater due to volcanic eruption and reef formation. And the whole process of the formation of atolls is known as subsidence. Lakshadweep has a temperate and warm climate. It is home to various forms of flora and fauna. Tuna is an extremely found fish in Lakshadweep and is a major contributor to the appetite of the people of Lakshadweep. Fish is consumed in large numbers in these islands as it is a major product found down here. The economy of Lakshadweep is predominantly dominated by food processing and tourism. Under tourism, various water sports come in, such as kayaking, snorkeling, scuba diving, fishing, and a lot more activities as such. The jurisdiction of Lakshadweep comes under the Kerala High Court, which means any legal case, civil or criminal, has to be dealt in the Kerala High Court. Now, the question comes out, how did the Lakshadweep Islands come into the Indian territory? And for this, we need to move back to the year 1947, when India gained independence. And during this time period, there were constant disputes between princely states, and if at all, they wanted to join the Indian territory. Now, during such tense times, two greats, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel and VP Menon, played a major role in convincing princely states to accede to India. But the fact was, the case of Lakshadweep was quite different, as it wasn't like other princely states. Lakshadweep wasn't included in the Radcliffe line. Lakshadweep didn't have any present military, and the only way we could accede Lakshadweep into the Indian territory was through quick action. Pakistan during this time period had clear eyes on the Lakshadweep Islands due to its high Muslim population, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah was said to have sent a ship to the Lakshadweep Islands. And this information was received by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. And when he received such an information, he sent an SOS to the Mudaliar brothers and directed them to reach Lakshadweep Islands as soon as possible and host the tricolor. It is said that there was only a 30-minute time difference between the Indian ship and the Pakistan ship approaching the Lakshadweep Islands. And if Sardar Patel would have been a little late, then it would have been immensely difficult for India to regain Lakshadweep Islands back again. And maybe military conflict could have been adopted in getting this island back, because these islands have a major security analysis over the Indian territory, as they're just 200 to 400 kilometers from the Malabar coastline. And due to the swift action of Sardar Patel, we could be reassured that these important islands could be merged into the Indian territory. Mudaliar brothers are recognized for their contribution and go by the famous name of 12 stars of Akkad. Akkad Lakshmanaswamy Mudaliar is famously known to have been elected as a chairman of the WHO Executive Board in 1949 and 1950 for his renowned role as an educationalist and a physician. His brother is no less. Akkad Ramaswamy Mudaliar was the first president of United Nations Economic and Social Council during its inaugural session in 1946. The religion of Lakshadweep was not always dominated by Islam, and during the 5th century or until the 5th century, Buddhism was the most dominant religion in these islands. Sheikh Ubaidullah was said to have introduced Islam to the Lakshadweep Islands. He first arrived at Andreth and met with initial opposition, but finally convinced people to adopt Islam. Legends say that Ubaidullah had dreamt of an order directing him to leave Jeddah with a ship and explore the world, and then he was said to have arrived at the Lakshadweep Islands. But again, there's no concrete evidence about the history of the Lakshadweep Islands, as most of the records are usually spoken tales and some written records which are not completely reliable again. As said before, the economy of Lakshadweep is dominated by food processing and tourism. But tourism hasn't swept the cycle in the economy, as it only contributes a mere 8 to 10% to the economy, as the majority of people down here do not depend on tourism for their income. And why is this so? Lakshadweep is ecologically fragile and just has 10 inhabited islands. With low direct flights and just 150 hotels, definitely tourism cannot survive down here, and it being a major source of income would not be viable. Muhammad Faisal, who is a member of parliament hailing from the Lakshadweep Islands, said that tourist inflow must be controlled based on the integrated island management plan laid down by the Justice Ravindran Commission. All this being said, the plan to ramp up tourism in Lakshadweep might seem far-sighted, but these islands do host immense potential, and if money and nature are regulated in a well and effective manner, then there are some chances that we might find tourism boom a little bit and not destroy the ecology down here. The government must not try to clash biodiversity and commerce, and instead regulate these islands in an effective manner. And just to beat another nation in tourism by destroying your own territory, that would not be the best way to go forward. But again, there's a huge comparison between the terrain, the land, the beaches, the shores between Maldives and Lakshadweep. And this comparison might or might not be viable depending on various situations, but still we're going to look into it. The very first comparison which comes into mind while comparing Lakshadweep and Maldives is the size. Now, Lakshadweep is 32 square kilometers, and Maldives, on the other hand, is 298 square kilometers, which is 9 times larger than Lakshadweep. Maldives has 1,200 islands and 26 atolls, which is significantly larger than Lakshadweep. But this doesn't mean that Lakshadweep doesn't hold potential to ramp up tourism. Maldives might offer a larger terrain, but certainly not a better terrain, as it has been run through high volumes of tourists coming here every year. And the major thing is biodiversity and environment in this island nation are completely destroyed. On the other hand, Lakshadweep has strict travel regulations, and due to these strict travel regulations, Lakshadweep's coral and marine life is well kept. And this is a paradise for scuba divers and snorkelers. The atmosphere of Maldives is purely meant for commerce, as it has lost its environment and ecosystem, whereas Lakshadweep has well-kept oceans, coral reefs, and marine life. But again, at the center stage, the question is, can Lakshadweep Islands become the next Maldives? And the answer is quite simple. We either choose to destroy the present ecosystem, environment, marine life, coral reefs, oceans, and beaches in these islands, and choose to fit in tourists for commerce, or we choose to preserve the ecosystem. End of the day, the decision is of the people of India and the government. Coming to my personal opinion, which is multifaceted, I certainly promote tourism within India, as I believe that economy and money which is generated within India should stay here in a cyclic manner and not go to some other secondary nation. But at the same time, I do not promote destroying such a well-kept union territory, as gaining commerce and money and more prowess over another nation just in the sector of tourism and destroying the natural habitat in Lakshadweep is of no use. Competing with run-through Maldives just to gain more commerce and tourists is of no good. It doesn't really matter or make sense, because in the chase of trade and commerce in the field of tourism, you will become another run-through Maldives, which has completely destroyed its environment and ecosystem. This doesn't mean Lakshadweep should not be promoted, as it is one of the best hidden gems well kept in this nation. And I certainly believe that if a middle path could be found between tourism and at the same time promoting the welfare of indigenous communities and at the same time preserving the ecosystem and environment, that would be a major triumph. All this needs sheer planning and strength by the people and the leaders, and the transformation process should be dealt with composure and understanding. I would appreciate it if you guys will leave your views in the comment section down below, and I hope you liked my content, and I would appreciate it, and I would be pleased if you like and subscribe my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Take care.